Furvidni, Skapa, Specky. Welcome to Evil Bedtime Stories. I'm your host, Ravendude. The following video contains strong language and dark subjects. It's also terrible, and no one should watch or listen to it, ever. If you want to support your favorite Skald of Cthulhu, shove my content down the throats of everyone you know, violently. I also have an 11-hour-long video covering my recording, editing, and pontificating like an ass over the first story I ever narrated on my channel. It's available for $1 through Patreon, Ko-fi, and YouTube channel membership at EvilBedtimeStories, linked down in the description. Thank you for joining me on my path of curiosity, creativity, and wisdom. Do you like Evil Bedtime Stories? Alright. Good morning, everyone. It's just about 3:30 in the morning for me on my last day off before they throw 6 days in a row at me. Let's see here. So, I think I should be able... You should at the very least be able to get to page 78, right? That should be a good goal. 78, have 100 pages left. Man, this is probably going to be like maybe a 4 or 5 hour long video. Well, story, I should say. I mean, I told you, I had already lost 5 hours of recording, and I've got like, what, maybe 2 or 3 recorded now? That's just in the recording process. Man, that really would have sucked. That really sucks, because I could have kept that whole thing. It would have been a great giant drop for you guys to enjoy. Now you're just gonna have to deal with 3 or 4 hours, or whatever it's gonna end up being. Watch, I'm gonna say that, but then when it's all said and done, this is gonna be like an 18-hour long fucking video. Oh man, okay. Let's see. So we are at before I could so much as grasp. There it is. All right. Our brains. Before I could so much as gasp, he had placed the bulky manuscript in my hands. "Read it, Frank," he commanded. "Sit down and read it." I crossed to the window and sat down on the lounge. I sat there oblivious to everything but the typewritten sheets before me. I confess that I was consumed with an unholy curiosity. Ah, what is happening? What even... Hold on, was that a good blooper? I confess that I was consumed with an unholy curiosity. Ah. I love how that cuts off, too. That's a good one. Hold on. Okay. Got almost 5 minutes of bloopers total. That's good. Okay. You see, the thing is, right? I have to let myself, like, chastise myself when I fuck up. Because at least it brings some use to the fuck-ups. I get to put them together in the bloopers. But I get so angry with myself. Like, I think the last time I was recording, I would just stop. You know, start and stop. And it's weird because there's, like, a fine line. Because I don't want to be hamming it up, like, just to be entertaining. Because I do actually get pissed at myself. And I will be very, I guess self-deprecating would be the right way to put it. I don't know. I keep saying, you see what I mean, how my body betrays me. But I also don't, I have to ride between, like, okay, so every time if I just, misspeak or my mouth fucks up, like, I'm not going to go over the top grandiose with it, but I also have to allow some kind of reaction every now and again. Because I do remember, I think it was yesterday where I was just like, oh, okay, here we go, stop, and then restart, and then, oh, shit, I fucked that up, okay, stop, and then restart. I didn't really add any bloopers. So yeah, I don't really know. It's a weird in-between. Come on. Alright. I wonder how that sounds. Hold on, let's see how it sounds in between some bloopers. Even now, as he stared hysterically into them, shit, fill us with fear and hope. They've laid their mark upon him, and they will come for him. You must not stay here. This horse is marked for destruction. Shit. I confess that I was consumed with an unholy curiosity. What the fuck, dude? Shit. I confess that I was consumed with an unholy curiosity. Dude, what the fuck is even happening there? That's a great blooper. I confess. Okay, I confess. Okay, we're gonna pull that back a little bit more. Effect. Fadoot. Okay. Okay. And then Fadeen. Okay. Effect. Fading. Fade in. Thank you very much. It sucks at our brains. Before I could so much as gasp, he had placed the bulky manuscript in my hands. Read it, Frank, he commanded. Sit down and read it. I crossed to the window and sat down on the lounge. I sat there oblivious to everything but the typewritten sheets before me. Okay, yeah, why not? That works. It's not perfect, but it works. And I'll tell you what, guys. So let me just go ahead and channel pirate software for a bit when it comes to like being kind of motivational or whatever. Like I brought up a couple times before, right? That at the time of recording, the channel doesn't truly exist, right? Like this is the channel right now. EvilBedtimeStories, there's nothing on it. The only thing that we have is this little, synopsis here. I throw some little Viking stuff. I talk about creativity, curiosity, and wisdom, right? Curiosity, creativity, and wisdom. I have just hours and hours and hours, over 24 hours, confidently, between actually recorded stories and then these videos recording the process, right? I have yet to upload anything. And the thing about it, right, is I've been putting this off for about 11 years now. In way, shapes, and forms, right? Like, I'll start up and then I'll stop and then, life will get in the way, right? But right now, I am kind of just operating on a level of faith, right? And I'm not really that worried about it. And I'll tell you why. Over that time of me stopping and starting and telling myself that it has to be absolutely perfect before I start up again, I have to make it worth it, right? Like, that's what I'm telling myself. Like, if it's not good enough, right? It can't be good enough. It has to be the best it can be. And the thing is, I know that a lot of you out there are maybe in the exact same position. Maybe you haven't put the thing off for 11 years, but I know that you're sitting there and maybe you're working a full-time job, like me, right? And maybe you have some kind of dream to do something. Hopefully it's creative. I hope that everyone out there has some kind of creative impulse, that you want to make a thing. I think that you should. Take the perfect example from me, right? I start my shift at 5 o'clock in the morning. I wake up at 1:30. And I do that so that I can get an hour and a half of recording before work. And in that hour and a half time slot, for the First time when I first really started, I was getting 10 minutes. Because it had been so long. Now I'm looking at, if I get a good run, I can get about 20 to 30 minutes in. If I start going better, if I really focus, I could probably get a full hour in that hour and a half, right? Especially if I don't spiral off into side tangents like this. But I think it is worth noting that I think it's a good thing to point out just how much effort goes into making something as stupid as what I'm making, right? Because it's really not that great. But the thing is, I think that it's good enough. It's good enough for now. And good enough, right? Good enough is just that in the vast majority of cases, I think that if you yourself are planning, if you want to do anything creatively, right? Find whatever amount of time it is. Get a little bit less sleep. That's usually the trade-off, right? Especially when you have kids. If you have kids, you have a full-time job, you're trying to pivot whatever it is that you're doing into something that you actually like to do, right? The trade-off is generally that you have to get less sleep. Hopefully a lot of you are young enough that you don't have kids so that it's not that much of a trade-off, right? But I think that it serves to point out like this, right? I'll be excuse me. My body betrays me. I'll be 100% honest with you. I remember, the thing that spurred this is when I listened back to that track, right? I didn't like how I narrated the character going just sit down and read it. I didn't like that. I can go back and redo it. I can. But the thing is, I'll be 100% honest with you, it would have been faster if I just went back and redid it. But I think that was... God. See, now that I think about it... but I think it serves... I think it has a better effect to just pause and point out that about 11 years ago, that's exactly what I would have done. I would have just redone that, and I would have spent days and days just trying to get it right. When I first started recording, okay, the first recordings I ever made, I had no idea how to edit at all. I just downloaded Audacity. I had no idea how to use it. The only things that I knew how to do were press this big red button here. Press the big red button and then stop it. And then I knew what pause and play were, so I could pause and play. And then I knew that I could, move this around. Oh, wait, cool, I can select this. I knew how that stuff. And then I knew, the volume here. Because volume up and down. I didn't know about stopping and starting recordings. I didn't know how to add new tracks. If I fucked up, that was the entire recording. I had to start all over from start. And if you're wondering what I actually was able to narrate then, I had to literally memorize poems from Edgar Allan Poe and I think it was mainly Edgar Allan Poe. I would find creepy, short, very short poems that would essentially amount to 2 or 3 minutes. And I had to memorize the entirety of them because I didn't know jack shit. And now you see me doing a little bit better. If you've seen my the Black Stones recording process video, then you see that not only did I understand, basic editing, but I was able to craft my own ambient backing tracks. I mean, I'll have to practice with it again, but I showed how I can use my bass, right? And this shitty little bow, right? And I've got a little setup here where I can feed my bass into my microphone, and I can get some interesting kind of creepy backing noises, right? Like there's an entire progression that went through from knowing literally nothing. Like literally fucking nothing. Do you know how dumb you have to be to just... It's the simplest Google search. I didn't even fucking Google it, dude. Like, I can't explain to you just how, like, irritatingly long the portion of my recording experience, right? That oh god, really, like, now I'm thinking about it, it was like a couple weeks of that shit. It took me a couple weeks to be like, this is just unsustainable. I need to actually learn. God, it's so dumb. But, like, I bring all of that up because I think that, especially nowadays, we see such a developing dependence on artificial intelligence, right? I mean, I don't know about you guys, but every other video that I come across, especially when I'm... what the fuck is in my eye? Just about every other video when I'm on, like, YouTube Shorts or whatever, it's some AI shit, right? Like, you can hear the AI voice, you see the AI art, you know that there's AI stories. It's the first thing when you Google a thing is AI, you know, it's all being pushed there, right? I personally think that human creativity is the way that people can rail back against that, right? I think that we're heading for a world where there is going to be a very large portion of people who do not appreciate cookie cutter, you know, from the factory perfection. You know, there will be a beauty in the imperfections of humanity, right? And I've been a very long proponent of that. I personally believe that every human being is their own stained glass work of art. And that's both good and bad. I believe that we are all the sums of the broken, jagged, strangely colored bits of glass that come together. And I think that it is time itself that forms those pieces together into something absolutely beautiful. I think that far too many people try to portray themselves as perfect, pristine, see-through windows, when in reality everyone is a broken, jagged, fucked up mess because life is just weird, man. You know, like, even if you're rich and whatever and your parents were able to provide for you the absolute best kind of life, you're gonna find there's gonna be some really fucked up shit. It's just how it goes. The flavor of life is bittersweet, you know? And, excuse me. And, I think that everyone has a creative aspect to them, you know? I do think that. I think that absolutely everyone has something where they can be very creative, even if it's like mathematics, right? Like, I think that probably on the surface, a lot of people might get confused at, like, what do you mean creativity with mathematics? But I'm sure that there are people out there who could be like, well, actually, you know, trust me, that's just the way the world works. I think that I think that it may be very useful to point these things out to you guys, to show that I'm one of them. You know, I'm one of the dummies who took the time, didn't know what he was doing, beating his fucking head against a brick wall. And now I'm at the point where I can kind of make a thing, you know? I wouldn't call it particularly good, right? It's like I said, this last little bit that I recorded, there were some things that I didn't like. But here's the thing, it's good enough for now. And I'll tell you why. Because I have yet to put any of this out for anyone, right? I cannot kill myself with being overly perfectionist. Being overly perfectionist? That is not how you use those words. of expecting a level of perfection, right? Because it'll just move those goalposts for me, right? And the farther I move those goalposts, that's how I'm going to add another 5 years to how long I've been waiting, you know? Right now, the stuff that I have isn't perfect, and I can do better. And I know that I will be able to. That's why I save all of the raw tracks, and I don't delete them once I edit them, right? Because I know that in the future, I'll be able to edit them so much better. But for now, that's just where I am, you know? It's good enough for now. And I want you guys to think about that, you know? If there really is anyone out there watching this at some point in the future, months and months, years from now, whenever I actually start releasing these things, I want you to consider that. I want you to think about the things that you can be creative with, right? The things that you can create. And I want you to think about why you're not doing them right now. I can almost guarantee that it would be, I don't have the time, or I don't know how. In which case I would tell you, maybe 30 minutes a day, you know, especially if you're just starting out. The first thing you got to do is start looking into it, right? Like for me, when I first wanted to record these stories, I was listening to a lot of scary narrators on YouTube. At that time, it was, you know, King Spook and Chilling Tales for Dark Nights, you know. But what you should do, right, is find something that you're interested in being creative with, right? Whatever it is, whatever kind of vein it is, look into it. Find out what you like and what you don't about it, right? Look at other people's works. For me, I stopped listening to narration stuff, especially after I stopped my own, just because I was kind of salty. Like, I had to stop mine for, you know, a plethora of reasons, and it was so difficult to get that momentum back up. You know, I didn't have a stable place. I couldn't make this box here, you know, so that I could record in. It just didn't work out. But I never let I never let that fire die. I kept stoking those flames. You know, I kept it alive in the back of my head. And the thing is, when I think back to what made me start, I kept listening to these stories, and I was like, man, I can do this. I have a good voice, and I'm a pretty good reader, right? I think that this is something that I can do. And I remember I was talking to one of my friends, and I was basically just like, man, it sucks that I just don't know. You know, I felt like I just couldn't. And they basically were just like, well, just start. Just do it. Like, yeah, you can do it. I don't know why, but that just, for some reason, just being told, like, yeah, just try, just start. It doesn't have to be good. Just try, you know? And like I said, it was not good. It was not good. Boy fucking howdy, was it not good. It was the furthest thing from good. No, really, you think that you're going to be a narrator by memorizing the entirety of what you say. Didn't even know how to stop and start so that I could memorize a sentence at a time. So dumb. So deeply dumb. But, I think that that's how you start, guys. I think that that's how you start. I think that you tell yourself it's okay to be bad at first because you're learning, right? I think that what you do is you find examples of what it is you want to do, right? If you want to be a writer, you think about the genre that you want to write in, and then you look at some of the contemporary writers, right? You see what's being put out in that genre today. If you want to make games, I suggest the exact same thing. You know, you want to make open world games, you think about, well, what are the things in open world games that I like, and then what are some things that I would change, right? You want to be a narrator. What type of stories do I want to tell? I'm only ever really going to touch dark, fucked up stories because those are the ones that I'm interested in, you know? Those are the first steps, is figuring out what and why, right? And then it's just doing it, man. Just do it. Just fucking do it. Just be dumb and stubborn, you know? That's what we're best at as human beings, being dumb and stubborn, you know? And I think that we do a disservice when we tell ourselves, no, I'm not. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You're a dumb monkey. But guess what? That's where the best things come from, you know? Being dumb and stubborn. That's how people become millionaires, you know? they're dumb and stubborn enough until they get enough money to force other people to be dumb and stubborn for them, you know? It's just how it goes. I think that absolutely everyone has something that they could be creating, something that they're good at, you know, whether they find it or not. And I think that as I sit here with well over 24 hours of material, I guess, recorded, right? After having let this sit for about 11 years, you know, waking up at 1:30 in the morning to get maybe an hour and a half of recording just about every single day, and not even having released anything yet, you know, I think that I'm in the perfect position to tell people to do what it is that you've been putting off, you know? Do what it is that you've been thinking about doing, you know? Whatever it is, creatively, create that thing. Go for it, you know? Even if no one sees it. You know what I mean? And here's the thing. With what I'm doing specifically, the fact that no one sees it just means that it'll be better once they start. Because for me, I'm making a pretty big backlog because the fact that I'm not doing it full time, right? The fact that I don't have some massive Patreon account right now or whatever it is, and you know, I'm just finding the time that I have between my full-time job. What I'm doing is creating the ability to release something of a dependable schedule, right? The more that I have pre-recorded, the better an experience it'll be for all of you guys. You'll be able to depend on my releases a bit more. Just because of how long it takes, you know? Like I said, when I first started up again, it was, like an extra hour or so for 10 minutes, you know? It's not that much. It's not that much. And we're not even talking about editing, because at this point I haven't really edited anything yet. So I've still got like a good another half of the time it takes to actually finish these things out. But I think that it just serves as proof positive, right? Like it proves the point. Just be dumb and stubborn. Just stubbornly do what it is that you want to do, you know? Because here's the thing, I can't explain it, really. I really can't, but I feel like all of these efforts that I'm putting in, I have the feeling that they're not going to be in vain. And I don't know why. But I feel like there are going to be people who appreciate what I'm doing. There's going to be people who like the sound of my voice and like my story choice. There's going to be people who appreciate that I do all of this work myself, you know. There's going to be people who appreciate the physical stuff that I've got, you know, my book binding and my Nevitavo games that I make, and you know, my resin casting and all of that. You know, there's going to be people who appreciate that I put that much effort. I think so. You know what it is? You know what it is, guys? You know what it really is? You have to be dumb and stubborn, right? And you have to do it honestly. That's what it is. I think that there is a place for any kind of genuine creative attempt. I truly believe that. I think that as long as you're not trying to make something with the sole intent of making money off of it, right? Like, I think everyone knows that. You know, you have video games out there. We all love the franchises, but as soon as you start seeing like, oh, this is just a money grab, people turn their backs. I'm exactly one of those people. I think that you got to have a certain level of love in there, right? I know that sounds cheesy, but that's the perfect word for it, right? Like, there's got to be care and attention and time that's invested. And boy fucking howdy if I'm not investing some fucking time into this shit. These stupid fucking stories. But I think that I think that it's a good thing to every now and again take a moment and just honestly put that out there, that consider that, consider where I am right now, The fact that you're even seeing this is fucking ridiculous, right? The fact that anyone has any response to the stupid words that I'm saying right now just proves the point. And I say that with a lot of faith, because hopefully at some point that'll start happening. But should that moment come to pass, right? I think that's the perfect it's the perfect time for me to tell you to get up off your ass and make the thing that you want to make. Have a little bit of faith in that sense. It's probably like the only time that I don't care about using the word faith, because, whatever, but it's true, right? Just have a little bit of faith that if you put in the time and the actual considerate effort, right? You got to put in a level of effort that shows that you are trying. Doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't have to be perfect at all. It can be your 2-minute long memorized poems. I didn't get a lot of views on those, but I got some, and those led to a little bit more. I think at my biggest, I think I had about 500 subscribers before I shut down my old YouTube channel, which I'm unfortunately I'm kind of happy that I did, because the landscape has changed just so much. Fair use wasn't a thing, right? Like, that wasn't a thing. There wasn't any actual legal precedent behind it. There weren't any court cases. There was not a nice skeleton for you to follow to know whether or not you would be ruining all of your own efforts, right? And that took years for that shit to get figured out, But now I think is the right time to start coming back. And I'll be honest, I feel a lot better. Like, even though it has been literal weeks of me recording now, right? And no one has been, I don't have any feedback. I'm just going on, well, this was the level that I was at before, and I can make it. I know for a fact that I can be better a lot, like so much better in the future, but this is good enough for now. And it's like I said, man, I think that even if you're at this point, right? If you're making the things that you want to make, but you're worried about whether or not they're good enough, or if you're not even considering that phrase, first off, you should. It's a great phrase. It's a great phrase for the vast majority of things. I grew up, my mom was a nurse, okay? Charge nurse for about 10 years in the last of her run, right? But she was a nurse for 20 years, my entire life, right? I lived through her nursing school, and then I lived through the hell that was her nursing career, right? And I'll tell you this, in response to her living a quite literally life or death lifestyle, right? The hospital took absolutely everything from my mom, all of her attention. And I'll tell you this, when she retired, she had a very big issue. Her mind was still in the hospital, and I had to keep telling her, Mom, things aren't life or death anymore, There's a lot of room for mistakes nowadays, because in the hospital, if you put down 0.001 instead of 0.0001, that means someone's going to die, Not guaranteed, but that is how people die, by accident in the hospital, There is a level of attention to detail that needs to be in place, or else there are very, very large consequences that are not worth the effort that it would take to keep them from ever coming about, right? And I feel like, especially for creative people, it's so easy for us to impart upon ourselves a level of life or death when it comes to the things that we wish to create. And I want to be very clear with any of you who are out there struggling with that good enough is good enough for the vast majority of things. For the vast majority of things. In a very real way, I believe that the taste of life is bittersweet, and I think that the level of life is good enough. It's funny because you'll see these writings of these people who are like, what do they call them? Like yogis and shaman, life mat. I don't know. Whatever you call these people who, regardless of their theological beliefs, right? They go on these quests to understand life and the human condition as best as possible. And what you'll find is that generally, in their own ways, they'll tell you to be content with good enough, right? Accept good enough and don't think so much. That's essentially what meditation is. You have people who think that because someone sits down and doesn't think for hours on end, that all of a sudden they know everything, which is fascinating to me. I mean, there certainly are things that you can learn from literally everything, right? Everything has a lesson to be learned, and the lessons are different for everyone who is, going through whatever it is that is experiencing that. But I find it interesting that when you make these assertions, like, don't be an asshole to people, Good enough is good enough. Don't think so much. Those things have been such radical ideas throughout history. I mean, why don't you go walking around and see just how many crosses you'll see, and then think about why that is an important symbol, and essentially how it's just one guy saying, hey, stop being dicks to everyone. Like, that's why we're like, holy shit, that's a great idea. And yet almost no one can bring themselves to do it 2,000 fucking years later. But that's okay, right? Like, that's an amazing thing to me. And here's the thing. Good enough is good enough. Just like I said, I didn't like that last recorded bit. That last track. But that's okay. There was a little bit, it wasn't bad in a way that I can't deal with it, right? It was a little bad in, I hate my face, I hate my body. Do you see this? Do you see all of this? This is what you should hate. You should hate your own body betraying you. And then you burn everything. No, I'm sorry. When I get frustrated, I talk about burning things. It's called alopecia. Here, let's actually do a thing. Let's teach you a thing while I'm alopecia. Did I spell it right? L-A-L-O-C-H-E. Yes, I did. Haha. The use of vulgar or foul language to relieve stress or pain. I personally conflate that out as to also including like just grunting and shit, right? But I believe that alopecia. What is the disease alopecia? It's not a fucking disease. It's a great thing. It's a great thing, and all of you should embrace alopecia. Not only should you remember the word because it's a fun one to say, alopecia. Come on now. I mean, the only other word that I can think of that comes close to alopecia would be like lollipop. But even then, I don't know many like lalo words in English. In English, that is what we're doing. We're dumb as shit, and we just add D's whenever the fuck we want. Don't even. I see you. I know what's happening. I know what you're putting down there. That's the world we live in. You can't say D's without... See? Everyone together. D's. There you go. D's fires. I would be the one to not say nuts, but that's okay. You know what? And fittingly, as we talk about D's nuts, let's get back into the recording. I think that we've officially come to the end of I don't even know what you would call that. Pseudo-motivational horse shit. Yeah, that's what we'll call it. I like to chide myself for being a pseudo-intellectual asshole, so we'll call that pseudo-motivational horseshit. There we go. But seriously, guys, if you are thinking about doing a thing, just fucking do it. It doesn't have to be good, man. In fact, here's the thing. You see how I'm collecting 2 layers of bloopers for myself? Dude, it'll become exactly this part of your story, right? There'll be a time where you yourself are telling someone all you have to do is start, and then you're going to bring up how shitty whatever it was when you first started was, right? You know how like, so at my work, right? Not that long ago, a couple shifts ago, I had apparently this is just a talking one. I hopefully this is okay, because my last recording session I kind of just focused on recording. And like I said, I kind of want there to be some difference instead of literally just watch me fuck up this story, right? And that's the whole reason to watch these. I feel like there should be some other thing there. Not that long ago at my job, they have me driving this. It's a piece of heavy machinery, right? And everyone who drives it's intentionally backwards, right? It literally, like, you're standing sideways, you look like this, and then there's a wheel, and then there's a fucking thing that goes. It's ridiculous. I hate it. I want to burn it with fire. But you see what I mean? I told you, when I get anxious, I talk about burning things. Actually, if I remember, there's a pretty good story about that, about my at work yesterday. I'll tell you that if I remember it. But essentially, not that long ago, I was using this piece of heavy machinery, and I made a mistake, and I broke a sign, right? Like, I was putting something up really, really high, and I was trying to focus on where the machine itself is, as opposed to where the forks up top were. And I hate it. I hate that machine. They have me parallel parking cars about 15 feet in the air. I don't like that. With more experience, I'll become more confident with that. But I don't want to become confident in the point that I make mistakes. So I think I'm always going to tell myself that I hate the machine and I cannot drive it. Just because that way I force myself to always be attentive. But after I had broken the sign, I got very mad. I was very mad. I was mad with myself. I was angry with everyone else to a little degree, because I'm not the only one who can use the machine, and there's a lot of people who are far more experienced on the machine, and I felt perhaps some of that should be shared across me and some of the other people. That is not what's happening, because of course I need practice. So the only one who's putting things up, that's really great. I love that. I hate it so much. I just would. I don't want to keep talking about burning things, so I'll just scream it internally while I speak. But the thing is, right, and the reason why I bring this up, and the reason why it actually does relate to just starting whatever it is you want to start creatively. After I had fucked up, everyone starts showing me their scars, right, and telling me their stories about them fucking up. And there's one of the managers who broke, like, top tippy top guy at my job. He broke another one of the signs. It's like 3 places over, right? Like, you can see both of them. They made the joke that, like, now we just need to break a third and complete the set, right? But that's the thing, right? Don't be afraid to start out and fuck up. In fact, start out knowing that you will fuck up, and take joy in the fact that in the future you're going to have your version of, I was so dumb I had to memorize the entirety of the thing, right? Like, I had to memorize the whole story. How dumb am I, you know? Take heed, you know? Be motivated and uplifted by the fact that even though I'm sitting here, not that much better, by the way, but you can do it too, you know? And that's the thing, right? Is that is a very human thing. You know, we like to get together and share and show each other our scars. You know, we like to tell our war stories, and I think that that's part of it. You know, when you are a creative person, or when you're around creative people, they will have that version of their own war stories, right? You know, oh man, you know, I you know, if you feel yourself to be a writer, right, and you're talking with someone else who likes to write, you might find yourselves having a conversation about topics that you would like to get to, that you would like to cover, maybe that you want to cover, but you don't think that you can, you know, or maybe that you tried to cover in the past and wow, that really sucked, you know. Or find an artist friend of yours, right? And ask them about some of their first drawings. They might be a hell of a lot better than something that you would do, but everyone has those, oh yeah, these fucking sucked, man. You know? That's just how it is. Just figure out what it is, guys. Figure out whatever it is and start doing it. You know? Doesn't have to be good. Doesn't have to be good at all. No one has to see it. I feel like I'm telling that more to myself, I suppose. That's probably really what it is. I'm putting on this whole long-winded bullshit to be like, let me put myself in a position to teach you guys. It's just me. I'm just trying to tell myself that it's not all wasted. All right, let's see. Read it, Frank. Read it. Sheets before me. Okay. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt to put that out there. Every now and again, you know. Every now and again, I think it's a good thing to just say, basically, hey man, stop putting it off, you know. Again, you're talking to a fucker that's been putting this shit off for 11 fucking years, man. Do you know how fast that time went? Like, when I sat down and thought about it, because I always had it in the back of my head. I was like, you know what, as soon as I get the time. And it never came by. I had to make the time. Again, shift starts at 5 in the morning. I wake up at 1:30. That's fucking insane. I'm so happy that I don't actually have to work today. That way I can get some real recording instead of just having fucking talked for so long about really nothing. There's no real purpose to that. Again, outside of just making myself feel more comfortable. Like, it very well could be the next couple months before I even bother posting anything, let alone having anyone give half a shit to watch this far into this video to get this fucking diatribe, right? Oh man, how ridiculous. Oh man. Well, hopefully someone finds some kind of use from that. I don't know. Let's see. All right. Sheets before me. I confess that I was consumed with an unholy curiosity. I had never questioned Howard's power. With words he wrought miracles. Breaths from the unknown blew always over his pages, and things that had passed beyond Earth returned at his bidding. But could he even suggest the horror that we had known? Nope. Also, apparently, what I'm talking about, my fucking wet mouth, man. By the way, did you see how long I went? and yet only when I start to narrate it becomes an issue. You see how long I just fucking spewed that stupid pseudo-motivational horse shit. And as soon as I start to narrate, all of a sudden, clack, 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 clack. I hate it. I hate it. Hate all of it. Written sheets before me. I confess that I was consumed with an unholy curiosity. I had never questioned Howard's power. With words he wrought miracles. Breaths from the unknown blew always over his pages, and things that had passed beyond Earth returned at his bidding. But could he even suggest the horror that we had known? Could he even so much as hint at the loathsome, crawling thing that had claimed the brain of Henry Wells? I read the story through. I read it slowly and clutched at the pillows beside me in a frenzy of loathing. As soon as I had finished it, Howard snatched it from me. He evidently suspected that I desired to... that I desired. Okay, and then we get rid of that. Alright. We got the fadoot, and we hit the fade in. Alright. I'm telling you though, like when I finally started learning about Audacity itself and how to use it, and fucking making new tracks and layering them, and then, you know, fading out and fading in, so much better thing. But the typewritten sheets before me, I confess that I was consumed with an unholy curiosity. I had never questioned. This also, so because this story is so long, it brings about the question on whether or not I want to play the whole thing from start to finish for the video. Huh. Because I mean, like an hour long, I don't know. Because if it's going to be... I mean, hell, it's probably going to be close to a 5-hour-long video, to be honest. I mean, looking at these pages, it's probably going to be 4.5, closing in on 5 hours. Yeah, I don't think I can do all that. That's okay. You guys will be able to hear the finished one. Nice and uninterrupted. I was going to say unadulterated, but I think that's the exact opposite of what unadulterated means. Like, to say that you can listen to the finished, highly edited story and then claim that that is unadulterated. I believe that that is the exact wrong way to use that word. Like, the exact wrong way. But that's okay. Okay. It from me. He evidently suspected that I desired to tear it into shreds. That shouldn't have fucked me up that bad, but it did. Whatever. Shit. Hold on. He evidently suspected that I desired to tear it into shreds. That shouldn't have fucked me up that bad, but it did. Whatever. Okay. I kind of like the musing to myself aspect, like, shit, god damn it. What are you doing? Why'd you fuck it up that way? Instead of just like making the fuck up and then saying shit. Which happens a lot. You guys know that by now. Let's put that away. Then, oops. Yes, I would like to replace it. Thank you. Alright. Yeah, and this is just the entire one. The entire attempt. Scrapped, started again. Okay. Snatched it from me. He evidently suspected that I desired to tear it to shreds. What do you think of it? He cried exultantly. It's indescribably foul, I exclaimed. It is terribly, unspeakably obscene. But you will concede that I have made the horror convincing. Hold on, how did I say obscene there? Terribly, unspeakably obscene. Unbeseen. Unbeseen. Now see, that shit, those fuck-ups, I will actually stop. I will do that again. If I straight up mispronounce something. But I'll tell you this, right? And, okay, not to channel Pirate Software again, but quite literally I got this from him, which is, it's a great thing, man. He's a very wise guy, and I'm not going to get into how fitting it is that he decides to go by Thor, his Viking name, and yet he is also an extremely wise person. Like, there are some things that I could say about that, and about the ancient Scandinavians. Well, I wouldn't even say ancient. Well, older Scandinavians. So he was talking about how good enough is definitely something that you should shoot for. And he made a really great point. You should define what good enough is. You have your overall goal, which we all do, right? It needs to be perfect in these ways, right? But then you need to define what good enough is, right? And for me, good enough is not mispronouncing a word, right? Not having just the absolute worst inflection, and not omitting words, being as okay, so there's a certain type of word unfaithfulness to the original that I will be okay with myself going through, right? So right here, perfect example. He evidently suspected that I desired to tear it to shreds, right? That's verbatim, tear it to shreds. And I did do that in my last take, right? But if you caught me saying it in my blooper, I was training myself to say desire to tear it into shreds. It's an extremely pedantic change to make. No, sorry. It would be extremely pedantic to have an issue with that change. There we go. That's how you use those words. So on that level of changing the actual text, I'll be okay with myself, right? Sometimes there will be, I'm trying to think of other examples of word omissions that I'd be okay with. Sometimes it'll be, okay, so like down here, right? It is deathless art. Oh no, I actually wouldn't. If I had put it is a deathless art, I would not be okay with that, because that actually does change the meaning. There you go. Okay, any kind of word changes that may change the meaning of a sentence, right? I won't be okay with. But small things. Like, that's the exact perfect example, by the way, is tear it to shreds and tear it into shreds. I don't care about making that kind of a mistake, right? And for me, that's what good enough is. For you guys, definitely, just to put a nice end cap on that pseudo-motivational horseshit. Nice end cap. Figure out, define what good enough is. Define it. Don't just say, oh, well, good enough, because, and I'll tell you this, in my experience, trying to be okay with that takes a lot more effort than just saying, yeah, okay, good enough, right? Like, for me at least, it does help to have, like, a literal example, right? Some kind of example for the floor of the thing, right? Regardless. Alright. Snatched it from me. Okay. Snatched it from me. He evidently suspected that I desired to tear it to shreds. What do you think of it? He cried exultantly. It is indescribably foul, I exclaimed. It is terribly, unspeakably obscene. But you will concede that I have made the horror convincing. I nodded and reached for my hat. You have made it so convincing that I cannot remain and discuss it with you. I intend to walk until morning. I intend to walk until I am too weary to care, or think, or remember. It is deathless art! He shouted at me, but I passed down the stairs and out of the house without replying. It was past midnight when the telephone rang. I laid down the book I was reading and lowered the receiver. Hello? Who is there? I asked. Frank, this is Howard. The voice was strangely high-pitched. Come as quickly as you can. They've come back. And Frank, the sign is powerless. I've tried the sign, but the droning is getting louder, and a dim shape. Howard's voice trailed off disastrously. I fairly screamed into the receiver. Courage, man! Do not let them suspect that you are afraid. Make the sign again and again. I'll come at once. Howard's voice came again, more hoarsely this time. The shape is growing clearer and clearer, and there is nothing I can do. Frank, I've lost the power to make the sign. I've fortified all right to the protection of the sign. My soul is corrupt. I've become a priest of the devil. That story. I should not have written that story. Show them that you're unafraid, I cried. I'll try. Oh my God, the shape is... I did not wait to hear more. Frantically seizing my hat and coat, I dashed down the stairs and out into the street. As I reached the curb, a dizziness seized me. I clung to a lamppost to keep from falling, and waved my hand madly at a fleeing taxi. Okay, so this is interesting. So, I was gonna say, it's interesting that, Howard has the issue, but apparently this isn't. Also, by the way, I thought for some reason that they lived together or something. Show them that you're unafraid. Okay, spot de-amplify, all of that stuff. Okay. I'll either spot de-amplify it or I'll re-record it when, off stream or whatever, but I'm not gonna have you guys sit through. I'm gonna cut out as many of the stops and starts as I possibly can from me. Howard snatched it from me. He evidently suspected that I desired to tear it to shreds. What do you think of it? So I was gonna say it's interesting that Frank isn't experiencing any of this because he read the story, but obviously Howard sat at, 3 weeks? He sat and thought about it over and over for 3 weeks. And then Frank basically just, after that 3 weeks, he read it again and was like, fuck this. And he just walked around until morning, which is, wow, dude. madly at a fleeing taxi. Madly at a fleeing taxi. Luckily, the driver saw me. The car stopped and I staggered out into the street and climbed into it. "Quick!" I shouted. "Take me to 10 Brooklyn Heights." "Yes, sir." "Cold night, ain't it?" "Cold!" I shouted. "It will be cold indeed when they get in. It will be cold indeed when they start to..." The driver stared at me in amazement. "That's all right, sir," he said. "We'll get you home all right, sir. Brooklyn Heights, did you say, sir?" "Brooklyn Heights," I groaned and collapsed against the cushions. As the car raced forward, I tried not to think of the horror that awaited me. I clutched desperately at straws. It is conceivable, I thought, that Howard has gone temporarily insane. How could the horror have found him among shit? Hold on. How could the horror have found him among shit? Well, I stopped it. Damn it, I'm not going to include that as a blooper. But I didn't like the "it is conceivable." It is conceivable, I thought, that Howard has gone. Well, actually, yeah, that'll work. It kind of works as like it is conceivable, as if he's pausing to consider what the right word is. I can deal with that. I tell you guys, good enough is good enough. Okay. You know what? I say that, and yet I haven't really started editing. Hand madly at a fleeing taxi. Luckily, the driver saw me. I haven't started editing these fucking monsters, but, hand madly at a fleeing taxi. Luckily. Hand madly at a fleeing taxi. Luckily, the driver saw me. The car stopped and I staggered out into the street and climbed into it. "Quick!" I shouted. "Take me to 10 Brooklyn Heights." "Yes, sir." "Cold night, ain't it?" Okay, alright. And then we come here, and then we... haboosh. Bam. Okay. Tracks. New. Stereo. Okay. Boom. Nope. No. Okay. I thought... It is conceivable, I thought. Alright. It is conceivable, I thought, that Howard has gone temporarily insane. How could the horror have found him among so many millions of people? It cannot be that they have deliberately sought his shit. Well, then maybe I got the shit in that one. It cannot be that they have deliberately sought his shit. Those are good too. Those are good too to throw them in. Just the... ah, shit. Okay, export. Alright. You know, in the same vein of, like, talking about kind of learning as you go and getting better, right? And not caring about fucking up. I'll tell you this. When I first started, I probably wouldn't have even considered recording the actual recording process like this. It had occurred to me to record bloopers, but to put the whole fuck-ups, the entirety of the fuck-ups, like even with the bloopers, I can pick and choose, you know, and be like, oh, I'll use this one, no, I don't want to use that one, you know? But with these, the whole damn thing is recorded. I think, I don't know, I hope that it's entertaining in some way, shape, or form. I know that I keep saying that, but I guess it's just because I don't have any direct feedback as of yet. I'm sure that means that if there are if there is anyone watching this, there's probably something that really infuriates you. And you've probably been leaving comments like, why won't he stop whatever? And the reason is, well, all this shit is recorded before there are comments to be given. It is conceivable, I thought, that Howard has gone temporarily insane. Okay. Millions of people. Millions of people. That new stereo track. Okay. Millions of people. It cannot be that they have deliberately sought him out. It cannot be that they would deliberately choose him from among such multitudes. He's too insignificant. All human beings are too insignificant. They would never deliberately angle for human beings. They would never deliberately trawl for human beings. But they did seek Henry Wells. And what did Howard say? I have become a priest of the devil. Why not their priest? What if Howard has become their priest on Earth? What if his obscene, loathly story has made him their priest? The thought was a nightmare to me, and I put it furiously from me. He will have courage to resist them, I thought. He will show them that he is not afraid. Here we are, sir. Shall I help you in, sir? The car had stopped, and I groaned as I realized that I was about to enter what might prove to be my tomb. I descended to the sidewalk and handed the driver all the change that I possessed. He stared at me in amazement. You've given me too much, he cried. Here, sir. But I waved him aside and dashed up the stoop of the house before me. As I fitted a key into the door, I could hear him muttering, craziest drunk I've ever seen. He gives me $4 to drive him 10 blocks. Doesn't want no thanks or nothing. The lower hall was unlighted. I stood at the foot of the stairs and shouted, I'm here, Howard. Can you come down? There was no answer. I waited for perhaps 10 seconds, but not a sound came from the room above. I'm coming up, I shouted in desperation and started to climb the stairs. I was trembling all over. They've got him, I thought. I'm too late. Perhaps I had better not. Great God, what was that? I was unbelievably terrified. There was no mistaking the sounds. In the room above, someone was volubly fucking shit. Millions of people. What? What's happened there? What? Where's the end? Volubly fucking shit. Okay. In the room above, someone was volubly fucking shit. Fucking shit. I like that. Okay. Okay. Yes. Thank you. Alright. Then tab loops raw. Here. Boom. Paste. There we go. File. Export. Export. Alright. Here, you know what? Let's give the bloopers a listen to what we got so far. We'll listen to the full bloopers. I read of it first in the strange book of von Kunz, fuck. Shit! I didn't even mean to say that. Alright, I guess that's a pretty standard. Will you stop it? And the carefully expurgated edition put out by the Gold. Fuck. I doubt if there are more than a half a dozen. I doubt if there are more. The contents of the published matter are shuddersome enough, even if one accepts the general view that they but represent the ravings of a madman. They're among many. Yep, okay, here we go. And now comes the part where my body works against me. The bulk of his grim work concerns cults and objects of dark workships. Like, yep, it's Scientology all over again. I had been... Oh, that's an interesting cut. Let's just, get rid of that. All over again. I had been casting about for a place to spend a short vacation, and I made up my mind. I went to Strigoi Kavar. At that very instant, a Hiddish Turkish bakery, of course, in which we can all enjoy our Turkish delights and laugh at my stupid fat mouth. Holy shit. Without a leader in the gallant's little... I think that one's my favorite. The Hiddish Turkish bakery. And what's great is I didn't even know that I was saying Hiddish for so long. For so long. It didn't even occur to me that I wasn't saying hidden. Holy shit. Without a leader in the gallant's little army. Without a leader, the gallant. Oh shit. According to legends, the builders had called it Zoltan. Zoltan? Oh, fuck. Reflecting that it was probably while there that the mad poet, Justin Joffrey, had written his fantastic People of the Monolith. Shit. No, as in stop recording of a deep perpetrator. I think it's funny. I think it's really funny when I can't get it to stop recording too. That's great. Damn it, stop recording of a deep perpetrated. I like how you hear the click too. Damn it, stop recording of a deep perpetrated. Of a deed, shit, with its queer relics from all over the world and its long rows of books which ranged from the Mandrake Press edition of Boccaccio. Wait, my hands locked on his throat. That one's really great. That one's like if you know thing, right? Books which ranged from the Mandrake Press edition of Boccaccio. Wait, my hands locked on his throat and we crashed together on the ruins of a divan. No more do the green woodlands. Fucking fuck. Ever heaving and changing like the ghost of a... I'm gonna merge these while we're going along. Ever heaving and changing like the ghost of a great river. Through these fogs. Why? Fuck off OneDrive. Every time we go out, she drops her purse or her handkerchief. And I have handkerchief shit of the man who had stumbled over a hydrant. And of the paper knife, which Gloria... Why do I emphasize it like that? As if the knife is made of paper. As if the knife is made of paper. Wait, shit, stop. Rutilius Nematianus. Oh, fuck. Rutilius Nematianus. For fucking fuck, I had it that time. Okay, Rutilius Nematianus. Fuck. Okay, we're gonna get rid of this lead up here. As if the knife is made of paper. Wait, shit, stop. Rutilius Nematianus. Oh, fuck. Rutilius Nematianus. Okay, get rid of this lead up. Boom. Okay. Rutilius nematianus. For fucking fuck, I had it that time. Okay, Rutilius nematianus. Fuck. Rutilius nematianus affirmed that the druids invested all contiguous objects with their peculiar evil, so that anyone who touched so much as the hem of their robes was in deadly danger of becoming a partaker of their fallen divinity. Fuck, that's like the fourth time. Divinity. Dive-inity? What the fuck even? Wait, stop. What the fuck even? Wait, stop. Certain fragments of Aurignacian Venusis. What the fuck is even that name? Aurignacian Dude, the last story had so many fucked up names in it. Let me just go ahead and pull all of these back since that's what I'm doing, and then we could just listen to it. Flat out. There's that. This. This should be the last one, right? Nope, this is the last one. Okay. Certain fragments of Aurignacian Venusis. What the fuck is even that name? Aurignacian Venusis? Fuck you. He was not even thinking of the Elos of the Dolvins that occupies so many fascinating pages in Lucius Brown's... Shit! His name is Lucian, not Lucius. Even now, as he stared hysterically into them, fill us with fear and hope. They've laid their mark upon him and they will come for him. You must not stay here. This horse is... fill us with fear and hope. They've laid their mark upon him and... Hold on. This one has to... It doesn't do well when it's over here. Come on. You're a dick. Where was it? Oh, shit. Into them... Shit. Oh my goodness. Stop being a dick. There we go. Okay. So we're going to copy this one. And then we're going to delete it. And we're going to move this over here. We're going to put that over here. Just because it runs into the back of that one so much. You're a dick. Tracks. No. Undo, 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 undo. Thank you. Copy. You are a massive dick. Let me show you how we deal with this. You do that, and then stereo paste. Okay. Then we come over here, and we get rid of that. Then we take this, get rid of that, then we move this down, then we select all of this, then we copy it, then we paste it, and then we tell it to go fuck its mother. What do you mean there's not enough room, you fucking whore? Okay, we're just gonna do this. Yep. What do you mean there's not enough room? Oh, nowhere near enough room to paste that, you dirty bitch. You lying... See, I'm starting to get overly aggressive. And while that is but an interplay in Lalakesia, common folk don't really care about that. So I suggest that if you are like me and you enjoy your Lalakesia, you try to check yourself on it every now and again. Every now and again. Lucius Brown's. Shit, his name is Lucian, not Lucius. Fill us with fear and hope. Even now, as he stared hysterically into them, shit. They've laid their mark upon him and they will come for him. You must not stay here. This horse is marked for destruction. Shit. I confess that I was consumed with an unholy curiosity. He evidently suspected that I desired to tear it into... To tear it into shreds. What the fuck? Dude, okay, so So the Hiddish Turkish bakery and then this one are my favorites so far. I confess that I was consumed with an unholy curiosity. He evidently suspected that I desired to tear it into shreds. That shouldn't have fucked me up that bad, but it did, whatever. It cannot be that they have deliberately sought his shit. In the room above, someone was volubly fucking shit. Alright, and we're gonna export it like this because I moved it around a little bit. Okay. In the room above. Boop. Okay. Effect. We get the doot. And then we come back here. Ooh. There it is. Alright, so we hit the doot. Now we hit the dean. Alright. Ugh, stop it. The horror have found him among so many millions of people. It cannot be. The horror have found him among so many millions of people. It cannot be that they have deliberately sought. Alright. In the room above. So it is interesting too, right? So I love how this story has played out, right? So it's not that he was driven insane, right? It's not that Howard was driven insane by seeing the truth of the world, right? That by seeing these generally hidden creatures, right? This ancient enemy of all things human, right? It's not like having seen them that drives him crazy, right? What happened is he's so obsessed with writing about them, and apparently he wrote about them so accurately that I'm assuming that he has become their priest by force, because in spreading that story he can have people actually experience their horror, right, in such a way that they can take form within these people's thoughts, right? Like, that's what it is. That's exactly what it is. Oh, shit. Oh, no. Oh, no. He's talking about cold and crawling and clear. Here we fucking go. Howard's got some holes in his head. The sounds. In the room above, someone was volubly pleading and crying aloud in agony. Was it Howard's voice that I heard? I caught a few words indistinctly. Crawling. Crawling. Oh, have pity. Cold and clear. Crawling. God in heaven. I had reached the landing, and when the pleadings rose to hoarse shrieks, I fell to my knees and made against my body, and upon the wall beside me, and in the air, the sign. I made the primal side that had saved us in Mulligan. The primal side. Okay. Effect. Hit the doot. We grab the doot. I don't know why I always go for the doot first. But I always do. It's a thing. Effect. Grab the dean. Boom. Okay. There was no mistaking the sounds. In the room of... There was no mistaking the sounds. In the room above, Someone was volubly pleading and crying aloud in agony. Was it Howard's voice that I heard? Okay. Crawling, God in heaven! I had reached the land. Oh, have pity. Crawling, oh, have pity. Cold and clear. Crawling, God in heaven. I had reached the land. So it sounds like something else is going on. It sounds like there's something completely different going on, but that's the sign. It sounds like, what's that song from Pulp Fiction that was playing, right? That, Pulp Fiction. Let's see if this will get me there. If love is a red dress, hang me in rags. What the fuck? Oh, it's an original song. Hold on. What is it? Hang me in rags. No, that's not it. No. It's like the surf music or whatever. Also, Uma Thurman, like, probably in my opinion, that's the best that she's looked. She looks great like that. I don't know why I'm sharing my opinion on that, but I don't know. She's got a very interesting. I've heard growing up, right? Also, by the way, if you've not seen Pulp Fiction, you're a terrible person. You don't have a soul until you watch it. Watch Pulp Fiction. I've heard people give Uma Thurman a lot of shit because she's not conventionally attractive. Okay, I'm not even gonna. There's like a surf rock song or whatever, and it sounds like that should be playing in the background. If you know, then you know. If you don't, watch the fucking movie. I guess, like, her eyes are kind of spread out or whatever. Let me see, hold on. Is that what she looks like now? Oh. She looks weird from the side there. She doesn't look that bad. See, I don't know. I don't understand. Like, I've heard a lot of shit about Uma Thurman, and I think it's like a spacing of the eyes thing. That's what I've heard from people. Oh, she looks really good still. Yeah, but look at her, man. That baby face, you know. I've never understood where people give her some shit, you know. I don't know. For me, I've seen it like kind of like the eyes are a little bit far apart, but then you see this. I don't know. It's just, maybe she's just got weird angles, you know. She's a Lovecraftian character where, like, there are just very specific angles that make her eyes look weird, I guess, when you look at them. Wait, that's her daughter? I don't even know what's going on right now. It's weird, man, because it doesn't, like, to me, these don't really look like the same people. I don't know what the fuck is going on there. But yeah, anyway. Yeah, she's real pretty in that picture. Boy, howdy. You know where it is? So, in that defunct radio show that I still love to listen to, Opie and Anthony. I remember, I think it was Anthony and Jim Norton were giving Uma Thurman some shit. But then again, that's kind of what you did in that room. You were overly caustic for no real reason. That actually reminds me, right? So, I like to, a joke that I make about myself, right? As you guys can tell, I have no problem with self-deprecation, and I have kind of an aggressive sense of humor, and probably that comes directly from growing up with my mom being a nurse, right? There's a certain level of gallows humor, I suppose, that gets built up, probably as a defense mechanism, to be honest. But it's led me to be the unique piece of shit that I am today. No, I'm not a piece of shit. I'm the corn that is within the piece of shit. I'll always, life is going to chew you up and shit you out, but I'm the corn that stays pristine. I don't know where I heard. There was a cool cat that I worked with who told me that. I don't know where he got it from. But he came to me and he was like, you know what? This line reminds me of you. I'll never forget that shit. But yesterday at work, I was helping out one of my coworkers. She's really cool. And it's not like that, by the way. She's getting married and all that shit. She's just my department has a lot of women in it, right? The departments directly next to me have lots of women in them. It's just how it goes. And I was helping her. She's moving this thing around, and it's heavy and whatever. So I was helping her out, and I remember I was talking about something. Something had happened, and I was like, but you can't do that in polite society or something like that. Or like you always have to remind yourself, like you gotta act nice or whatever in society. And then I was like, but then you just remember how fun it is to set people on fire. And she was like, yeah, right? And like she just went along with it. And it took a second. Like we walked for a little bit longer. She was like, yeah. Wait, what? And I started laughing. I was like, yep, there it is. And I told her that I like to refer to myself as the waves that slowly erode the cliffs of your soul, right? And I told her, I was like, look, I don't care how nice of a person you are, how holy you are, how faithful you are, whatever it is, right? You hang out with me, and eventually you're going to be calling people cunts, and you're going to be talking about how fun it is to set people on fire. It's just a superpower that I have, right? I remembered that I wanted to tell you guys that story a while ago when I was just talking about stupid shit. But I thought that was funny. Because really, like, it worked exactly like that. We were just talking and walking back to our area of the store, and I just made the throwaway joke, like, yeah, but then it's so much fun to set people on fire, and she just agreed with it, and like kept talking kind of about it, but like, yeah, right, and like having fun, and then it occurred, like, wait a second. It's like, yep, that's how I get you. Oh, man. It probably doesn't help that, like, in my job, when people ask me to do a thing, like, hey, can I get your help with whatever? I'll be like, yeah, $20. And if I don't charge someone $20, I'll charge them percentages of their soul. Like earlier that day, I had also charged my friend 30% of her soul. Yeah. It's interesting too, because I was like, $20. She's like, oh man, you're really expensive. And I was like, okay, well, how about 30% of your soul? She's like, deal. I was like, it's interesting to me which one of those you actually push back on. Oh man. I really am a terrible person. Case in point, I'm gonna have to go ahead and pause this recording for now, because boy fucking howdy am I hungry. I don't generally like to eat breakfast in the mornings. I don't know why, but I've been up for a couple hours now, and excuse me, you may not crawl on my base. Sorry about that. I was chastising a bug. Oh, wow. An hour and 38 minutes, and we got what? 5 minutes of recording of audio recorded. Oh man. Oh man, it is bad. Thanks for sticking around. Subscribe to the Mad Horde. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. Like this stupid video. Let the algorithm gods know we exist. Chuck $1 my way and get access to an insulting amount of my special brand of idiocy. Or maybe a little more and get some really cool stuff I make by hand. I'll see you in the next one. Vidni miru then.